a basic programming in Apex languages. Now we'll see the OOPS concepts. So log into our ID mybox 122467F at abc.com, mybox 1224. So now go to the under ID developer console. So in this case, zoom this full screen. This basics were done earlier. Now I'll say that object-oriented concepts. What are the object-oriented concepts? Yes, what we call as an object-oriented concepts. Which concepts we call as an object-oriented? That's we called object-oriented features. So object-oriented features are what? Before going to object-oriented, first we need to know what is object and class. Which is an object? Which comes first, object or a class? Is it? So first we need to identify what? A class, then we'll get in an object. What you can say a class, so how we'll define a class means? So for example, in real situation, we might be seeing a pen, a red balloon, laptop, blue balloon, book, phone, white balloon. So these are all the objects. In the real world, these are all the objects. From these objects, we need to identify common objects. And this, what are the common objects? We have red balloon, blue balloon, white. And these common objects, again we need to identify what are the common factors, common properties. So these are the common properties here. What are that? We have color. This color we have, and then the size, that the color here for this object is red and blue and then white. The size here at 20 grams, it's again at 30 grams, then it's 40, it's maybe same 20 grams also. So in the real world there are different types of objects. In this we identify the common objects, red, blue, white, and it's again common properties. What are the common properties? It's common properties, color, size, okay, and we have any other properties, shape, square shape, oval shape, round, like that. So depending on these property values, the object is created. Is it? Depending on these properties, these objects are created. So whenever this value changes, whenever I give a new value, once I give a new value means a new object is created. Similarly, on this, what are the common methods on these objects? So these are all red, blue, white, these are all objects. These objects has common properties and just common methods. So common methods like fill air. Fill air is a method. So once I give a value fill air means once I fill air, what happens? These properties are changing. So methods, common method means once you perform a method, this common method on this object, automatically it affects the properties of this object. So once you perform any common method, this common method properties are affecting. Such methods we need to identify. So how we can define? A class is collection of objects, collection of common objects with common properties and methods. These are all common properties, color, shape, all this. And the second common method, the fill air is a common method. Or you can say as a, you can write a class like this, class balloon. In this common properties, so integer size, string color, string shape, and then method fill air. So now this is a class. Now class is nothing but it's a collection of properties and methods. So now it's a collection of. So does this, when you execute this class balloon means, does it occupy memory? It won't occupy any memory. Class will not occupy memory. It is only a blueprint, or it is only a structure how object looks. Class is only a blueprint how your object looks that you are defining. So class is a structure how object looks. Is it? And it will not occupy memory. Class will not occupy memory at all. Once you create an object, that means we can say class structure how object looks, or you can say class is an blueprint. You can say that's blueprint means it's a high level structure, or you can say as a logical structure how object looks. You have different types of objects. For all these different types of objects, we identify the common objects. In that common objects, we define the common properties and common methods. In that we are written a class. A class is a collection of common objects with common properties and methods. So it's a properties, and this is a method. We can call this as a data, and this is a method. So you can say as a class contains data members and methods. And which occupies memory? Memory occupies to data members, not to methods. Whenever you assign a values means, I want to give values means to whom I need to assign, the values should be to the data members. And methods will perform on these data members. Methods are used to process data members. methods, or you can call this as member functions. This is a data, or called as a data member, and this is called member function. So class contains data members and methods, and these methods are used to process this data. And class methods will not occupy memory. In a class, data members occupies memory, but not for methods. Methods will not occupy memory at all. Only memory is occupying only for data members. Then how to create the memory? You'll create memory how? By declaring like this. When you declare like balloon B1 like this. What does this mean? Balloon B1 semicolon means it is waiting. It is waiting for address. It's waiting for address. Which type of address? A balloon related object. It is waiting for address of type balloon. Then how to create memory means we create B1 equal to new balloon. Then allocates the new. Whenever you give new means new allocates memory. How much memory it allocates now? Balloon B1 are given. So B1 is what? A reference. It's waiting for address. That address, which type of address? A new balloon are given. So new balloon means it assigns memory of structure. How much structure are given? Balloon, integer size, integer color, integer shape. So integer occupies 4 bytes of memory. For example, 2003 and 2004. And this integer occupies how much memory? 4 bytes of memory. And string color. String occupies how many bytes? 2 bytes of memory. It is in a reference type. String is in a reference type. 2004 and 5. And then 2006 to 7, like that's memory is allocated, in which the first 4 bytes are referred by size, next 2 bytes are referred by color, and then shape. Like that's memory is allocated. Fill air. This is a method. It will not occupy memory. The fill air is a method to operate on this data members only. So we are given 3 data members, and memory is allocated, and values, whatever you give the values, that values it stores here. Now here it contains address, and its size contains what? Value. Integer value. And here it contains address. Which type of address? A string address. Since they are reference types, it contains only the addresses where the value, color value, shape value, whatever you give, where it stores, that it contains. Okay. So what you can define? Before writing a class or object, what we need to identify first? We need to identify first what? Common objects. Identify what are the common objects. So you have different type of objects in that common. Then you write a class. Then you write an object. Like this B1 new balloon. Then a memory is created. How much memory is created? As per the data members, memory is created. and method will not occupy memory. Method is used to process the data. Okay. Now if you create an object, now we'll create some program will create and we'll execute it. How it gets? I want to write a small class. So what you need to do? Go to File menu, New, Apex class. Writing what? File menu, New, Apex class. So that's an Apex class. I'll write some EMP. The class name EMP. Now class EMP. So we have different types of employees. We have seen. All these employees will have a common structure. All employees have a common structure. What will have? Integer, employee ID, string name, and some double and basic salary. This is a common for every employee. ID, name, and some float value or double value. And then methods. I want to display the process. Some methods I am writing to print the values. To print the values, we'll use system.debug id equal to id you can write single line basic employee basic basic. Now this is a structure. So public class will come. What is public class? It's public void. So it's a method. Now this a class contains how many? Name equal to name, single quotation. Save it. So it is in a class which has 3 data members and 1 method you have defined. Now when you see there is no execute button also here. Once you save it, it will not occupy memory. Class will not occupy memory until you create an object. So once you create an object, how to call it object means, now go to debug, open execute window. Then I need to create an object. So I need to create an object. Create an object. To create an object, now EMP E1 equal to new EMP. Yes, and once you create an object like this, so there's a debug window. A new one. EMP class. We cannot write here the objects. Cannot create and I cannot execute here. EMP E1 equal to new EMP. So I cannot execute. There is no execute button. So you need to create and click save. A class is created under your ID and your username. Employee class is created in Salesforce. Now I'm executing this. So press Ctrl E. It's in debug window. Now when you say EMP E1 new EMP, when you click execute, a memory is created. How much memory is created? For employee ID, employee name and basic salary is created. If I give values for this employee ID 1, 2, 3 and employee name. Basic salary. Save. Now go to debug window, execute. Here select this EMP1, click execute, highlight it. Go to debug only. So nothing. Why we are not displaying output? We are not getting any output. Since an EMP object has 3 data members, and in debug window, this is an object you created. You created object means memory is assigned. You have been assigned with memory. But we need to print that values. I need to print that values. How to print that values? Then I need to call a method. Which method you have written? A display method has been written. So call the display method. So how to call? Object has been created. Using object e1.disp, call that method. Disp is a method. This method has to be called. When you say e1.disp and click in execute, now you'll get an output. Select these 2 statements and click in execute, highlighted. See the debug only. Employee ID 1, 2, 3, employee name Rajesh, employee base, like that. So get. If see our EMP class, and see the debug window. Okay, this is the debug window. So whatever written in debug window, written employee, new employee, e1.disp written. So when you say e1 new EMP, you are calling the structure and you are allocating the memory for EID, employee name, base. And I want to call the data members. I want to process the data members. So where you are processing the data, you are processing onto a method. Method is processing the data. How to call that method? Method has to call using an object. Always object is called using the object name. That's method has to call using the object. Which method? Even object. And disp is a method. So when you say e1.disp, it calls internally what? e1.eid and then e1.ename and e1.ebase. Like that it calls internally. When you say e1.disp means it calls this. If you want to create one more object, emp and go for e2.disp. So what happened? It won't give any value. So when you call this, now you won't get an output. Now click and execute. So that's emp to execute. So we need to allocate a memory. Without allocation of memory, you cannot call this new EMP structure, or you can write as in a separate statement. E2 equal to new EMP. Then select these 3 values. Then click execute, highlighted. then debug only. So EAD, the same values. The object has been initialized with these values. Name convention just will come. So with caps letter, method name, the first letter should be small, like Java. How we do the same naming conventions. The class name should be caps, and the method name should be first letter should be small letter. The next word should be capital letters. So now we are written a class and we create an object. Now comes to the object-oriented concepts, where you come this in OOPS concepts here. Okay. OOPS features. What are OOPS features? So this is a class and we created an object. That's done. Then what is an object features? First one is what? Encapsulation. Then how we define encapsulation? Object-oriented features what are? Encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, and abstraction. Is it? Then how we'll define an encapsulation? Here, where is an encapsulation? In my class, I have written EMP class. Where is an encapsulation here? How we'll define this class is its encapsulation and this one. In the intros I'll ask, where is an encapsulation? Where is an abstraction? Where is polymorphism? Or like that they'll ask it. So how we'll define all this? So how we can define what is an encapsulation means? Is it? So encapsulation means, so binding data and methods together. If you bind data and methods together, we call it an encapsulation. What is meant bind? This is a data and this is a method. This method is processing this data. Method is processing the data. Are any methods are coming and processing this data? It's not allowed. This data is processed by only the methods of its class members only. The class as display method, that method only can process your data. Such functionality is called encapsulation. Other class members cannot come and they cannot process your employee name. Okay, that's an encapsulation, means binding data and methods such that other class members cannot process data. That is, only class methods can process data members. In the point, so encapsulation means binding data methods. You are binding this data and methods together such that other class members cannot process your data. Then what is an advantage of this encapsulation? Is security. Security is the more advantage when you go for encapsulation. How we can say security? As other class members cannot process your data, then you can say the security. Is it? Others cannot process your data. Only your methods only can process your data. That's called encapsulation. It's in members and this is methods. Only you are processing this one. Got it? Next. What is polymorphism? Or you can say, where is the polymorphism? What's an advantage of polymorphism? There is no polymorphism, what happens? What is an polymorphism and what is its advantage? No different functionality for methods. Polymorphism means single method name but having multiple functionalities. So what is the use of this? Single method name but multiple functionalities. Okay. So for advantage, it's think that there is an M1 method where I pass I, float, integer. I want to pass 3 float parameters, integer parameters. There is an M2 method, one integer float. M3 method, I want to pass some float, integer, float. So here there are different method names. Here you have different method names. If for example I want to call a method with integer and float, then I need to remember I comma f. So I need to remember that there are two parameters, integer and float, and we need to call that method as M2 method. So we need to remember the method names, which method names pass two parameters, integer and float, and call that M2 method. Is it? But when you come to polymorphism concept, we'll write a methods like this with single method name I the same, and we won't write again M2 method. We'll write same method name, pass I comma f, m f I f, and see here I have written only same method name, and while calling I'll call m comma if. That's an 2 comma 4.5. So I'm not calling any method name here. Method name is same and but has a different functionality. But here what's happening? A different method names are there, and I need to remember all the method names, what are its functionalities. So how we can define polymorphism is single method name having multiple functionality. Method name but having multiple functionality is called a polymorphism. So what is the advantage, what is the use of this polymorphism? What's an advantage? So easy to process and easy to remember the method names. I don't need to remember all these method names, M1, M2, M3 like that. Here only one method name is there and we are using that method. So the advantage of polymorphism easy to process with single method name and no need to remember all method names. That's an advantage of polymorphism. I don't need to remember whatever methods, what are its functionality. what parameters I'm passing, what return type, all that. But when you come to polymorphism, if our class follows polymorphism, means same method name and we pass different parameters, and I will get that. Now here in our program there is a display method is there. Is it? The display method is it's no parameter. I can write one more method, public void disp. I can write one more values. I can assign the values integer I, string e name, string e, string b, string name. These values can be assigned to where? To our data members. Employee ID equal to I, employee name equal to N, employee basic salary equal to B. Then you can print the values. Copy this, print this. See, now there is a display method. Now come to our object, debug, and execute window. And while creating an object, I can create like this. Employee E3 equal to new employee. I can say E3 dot disp. There is one method. E3 dot disp, same method name, but I am passing the values from here. 3, 4, 5. 8, 9, 9. So for first statement, what happens? It calls which method? The first method it calls. When you say emp E3 equal new emp, the E3 is an object. E3.disp. E3.disp means it calls the display method. It calls a display method and displays what values? It displays 1, 2, 3 value, Rajesh, and 12,000 displays. And there is same again display method. I'm writing one more display method. D, and here D. Yes. Now go to debug, execute window. Now see, when you go for this E3.disp, there is a second method, disp method. For this method I am passing the parameters, an integer parameter, a string parameter, the double value I am passing it. But the methods, we are not writing a different method names. I am writing same method name but different functionality I am writing. And I am passing these values 3, 4, 5 to I, and I assigns to EID, and Naresh, this values assigns to S, Naresh value assigns to string N, and N you are assigning to data member. And while printing, we need to print what? Data members. Printing data members. And what are this? These are all data members. We call this our data members, or we can call as class members, or called as data members. What this I and string S are called? They are called INDR. What parameters are? Formal parameters. They are called formal. They are formal there for accessing the values, passing the values, we use it this values. The actual values are here, they are existing. While passing this called the actual values. I am passing the values, these are all called the actual parameters. The actual values, the actual parameters passed to formal. The formal parameters I am assigning to data members, and then I am printing that. Such functionality is called what? The polymorphism. Is it? The polymorphism advantage polymorphism is with a single method name I can process the data. Got it? Next, what is inheritance? How can they inheritance? Inheritance means, so what is an advantage of inheritance? What is inheritance? The OOPS concepts inheritance very important, no? Let's Kran Mahesh Manisha Pranti Shanmukha Shashank Saurabh Sumit Anita. So inheritance means the existing class, there is one class, that class features I am extending. So there must be one class, that class features can be extended or can be modified. Such functionality we call as an inheritance. Inheritance means existing class features can be extended or modified. There is one class, that class can be extended. I can add new functionality or can be modified. I can extend or can be modified. Such functionality is called inheritance. So we have one class, C1 class. C1 class has some 3 data members and 2 methods are there. So I can write same class features. I can use the same class C2 class. I can use some 5 data members. I can write 4 methods. So same data is available in C2. Same methods comes to C2 class. When you are writing additional functionality, I am extending the existing class features in the child class. This is a parent class called parent class. This is called a child. This C1 class features, it's coming to the child C2. When I use extends keyword, automatically the C1 method, the functionality comes to the child 2. That functionality we call as an inheritance. Extending the existing class features can be extended or modified is called inheritance. What advantage will get for this? What's the advantage of inheritance? Reusing the same classes, its advantage is reusability. It's an advantage of reusability. Inheritance is the main advantage of is there is one class, that class I am reusing again. When you reuse means that's a concept of reusability. Is it? We write everything in a object oriented, that's called reusability functions. The object functions is nothing but reusability. Next, what is the next feature? Abstraction. Where you come the abstraction? We'll see the inheritance. There is inheritance separate one day where we'll discuss all the concepts. But here we say inheritance means the existing class features we use it again. It's called inheritance. In word called as an abstraction. Where is an abstraction? Abstraction means hiding the same name. What is an abstraction? So abstraction means hiding how method is implemented. I am hiding how the method has been written, how method has been defined. I will hide how the method has been implemented. So what is an advantage? Once you hide how method is implemented, what advantage you'll get it? What is an advantage? If I say that Salesforce class is 50 hours, 50 hours I said, then if you hide how it is implemented, say I will say Salesforce class as 10 hours class instead of 50 hours class, then how you feel? And you think that Salesforce is very easy and I'll get the job within less time. Is it? You feel that it's very easy. You don't know completely. And here also we are not knowing about how the method is implemented. Just you are calling that method and you are using it, that's all. We'll give some input, process, and it'll get ends. I don't know how the method has been implemented. So then what is an advantage? Complexity is less. How to use that function is very easy to use it. The advantage of abstraction is complexity decreases. Complexity decreases. How? How it decreases? So if you go for any showrooms, Maruti showrooms or any car showrooms, they explains only whatever the customer can understand. Will specify what is the car color, what is the mileage, what is the capacity, like that. He won't explain how car functions, how it works, how the petrol goes there and how it goes to each component. The functionality, the manufacturing, it won't explain. The sales executive will not explain all this functionality. He gives what a customer can understand. If a salesperson explains all the details how the car functions, it makes very difficult. It's very difficult to the customer to purchase a car, and he feels that, so I need to know all these components to drive a car. Is it? So there it becomes more complex to purchase a car. So we need hide whenever what we require. Similarly here also we are hiding. See, this is an abstraction internally. When you call a method, I am calling a method here. It's an abstraction here. In my method, when you call here, so when you say e3.disp and e3.disp, and internally it calls a display method. Once it calls a display method, it's saying say 345 is passing to I, Naresh is going there, D is going there, and say EID. Which EID takes? It's an abstraction to you. It is an abstraction. Which EID? As you are calling E3 internally, it takes E3.EID. It takes E3.ename, E3.basic salary. It's complete an abstraction to you. How its method is calling, how which data member is passing, it's complete abstract to you. If you call a method, I'm calling a method, say a display method I'm calling and displaying the output. I given a method definition, a display method definition, and pass some inputs and returns an output. How, where, in which way you return, that is not important for you. Pass the values, call the method, and returns an output. That is called an abstraction. So hiding the functionality is nothing but an abstraction. I'll get a square root functionality, then I'll let sqrt. How that function is returning, what values are passing, that we don't require. That's the point. Then people think that an encapsulation, the encapsulation we have and abstraction we have, is it? So then most of the time It's make confused like that. What is an encapsulation? What is an abstraction here? So encapsulation means we are binding data and methods. We are binding data and methods together such that processing this data, who process this data? Methods only can process your data. Only methods only can process your data. That's called encapsulation. For that only called as a security. In polymorphism, you have multiple definitions. M1, M2 like that. These multiple definitions are there. So here the same method name with single method name I am processing the values. It's an M2 4.5. I don't require what methods I am calling. That's called polymorphism. Inheritance. We have some existing class. That class we reuse them. That's called inheritance. And that's an abstraction. So once you hide how the method is done, that's called an abstraction. These four features are required while doing the object-oriented programming. But while learning the concepts also, you need to remember the advantage. Then it's very easy to remember the concepts. So you have to remember what? The advantage. Then it will be very easy for you to know all the concepts. Yet further only every language now we are using object-oriented programming. So we have different languages are there. Procedure-oriented languages and object-oriented languages are there, is it? The procedure-oriented and object-oriented languages. So where will come procedure and where will come an object-oriented? So procedure-oriented and procedure-oriented. What's different between procedure and object-oriented? In procedure-oriented, so we'll have the procedure-oriented. A C language. These are all procedure-oriented. Where this in procedure-oriented, if you written some underlines of code, this underlines of code, it contains presentation logic, business logic and database logic within a single program. So you have written 100 lines of code and it contains all these logics within single program. So what happens if another program asks a business logic for program 1, a P1 program, I want the P1 program a business logic, means I cannot take it the business logics of P1 program. That means there is no reusability concept there. But when you come in object-oriented, the object-oriented programming, so in object-oriented program, it's coming all it's an a reusability. So reusability comes here. So we'll write the P1 program with 100 lines. If it is 150 or 120 lines code you write. In this 120 lines, we'll write presentation logic, business logic and DL as a separate components. We write PL, all this as a one components. We write a separate components. When you write as a separate, so another programmer also can use this. A developer comes, another developer comes and he asks, I want this presentation logic. I can call that whatever implementation you have done. That we can do in the object-oriented programming. The object-oriented, what happens? Existing functionality. You have written a programmer 1 has written presentation logics. Another developer 2, he comes and he can ask another this program 1 of presentation logics. For that only now we use all object-oriented programming. Whatever language from 1980s we are using, all 1980s, from 1980s, all language C++, Java, C#, Apex language. Simula. All this language follows object-oriented. So concepts are same, the syntax is same. Use the same syntax. How you do in Java and C#, the same syntax will use it and will access it. Okay, so we learn the object-oriented concepts. Good. So what you need to practice here means just go to the create some class file. So anyone can access this ID. So once if I close this developer console, go to mybox122467F. The password is mybox1224 and go to developer console and go to file, open. You can access this classes, and that's EMP class is there. You can access this EMP class. So we have written the EMP class and 3 data members have written the display method, and with 3 parameters display method is there. Now I want to call that method means go to debug window, go to debug, open execute window, then create an object. EMP E1 new EMP like this. Don't do any changes in this ID. You create your own ID, you create your own Salesforce ID and open in another browser our classroom ID and compare and copy and paste it. Don't modify this program, so it will be confused for other users. So you create another user ID and create EMP E1 new EMP. You want a disp like that, so you say it's called display method, and EMP E2 create an object and E2.disp you call it and displays the values. Fine. And we need to remember all these concepts. What is an most people think this confusion in the encapsulation object oriented. So just remember the advantage, then it will be very easy for you. Okay. This all are days concepts what we have done earlier. Oops concepts. Before oops, first see then what is an object, what is a class, and the class will not occupy memory. And when you create an object, then only memory is allocated. While creating an object also, memory is assigned to only data members. And how you call that method means method is calling through an object. So always method is calling using its object only. Huh? So any doubts here? So whatever ID I given, no, the email ID I given, the GoToMeeting ID, you can access that GoToMeeting ID, the same ID, it works for 1 month. At 6 o'clock we can connect automatically. You can access that ID. Is it? Manisha, Pranati, Shashank. That's it. Please go through any doubts and let me know tomorrow. Run this program, execute it, then you will get an example. And all these programs are existing in the drive, or you can go to our email user ID and you can access it. If more you require, or you can go to any basics concept program. If anyone missed, you can go to developerforce.com. You can have our Apex workbook is there. Basics oops concepts you can get from this workbook tutorials. So from this book also you can have the oops concept, everything. what is a class, what is an object, what data members, what is a program. Whatever I discuss, all it comes from this book only. Access it. Go through only workbooks. Don't go for any other materials or notes or anything. Just go through Salesforce books only. It's very useful and they update every quarterly. Okay. Done. Any doubts here?